Hello, friend, and welcome to a little Borgcast special. We recently had First Contact Day, which apparently is a thing. I didn't know it was a thing, but it's become a thing in I suppose, a similar way to, Star Wars. The 4th of May has become a thing. As a result, you get lots of trailers and announcements about Star Trek series. In fact, so many that I was struggling to keep up at one point. Blogging stuff on the old Borgcast Facebook page, which you're most welcome to join and have a look and catch up with all the stuff. But I thought rather than me just twiddling away about this, we'd get a good friend of the show, Andy, to give his opinions as well.
Please state the nature of a podcasting... Oh, it's you. Oh, fuck.
Aha! Yes, we've got the emergency hologram all fired up.
You finally... You've done it, haven't you? You pulled the pin and we're doing fucking Voyager, aren't we? Oh, for fuck.
Nope, it's not happening.
Oh, we're not? Oh, okay. Oh, phew. Because you only ever bring me in when it's shit Anne-Marie doesn't want to do, so...
Well, I think this time it's about juicy danglers. That's what it's all about this time round.
Oh, that sounds worse.
So much better, doesn't it?
so much worse, yes.
So much stuff, it's hard to know where to start, but I suppose we might start with Discovery Season 4, which we have a little trailer for.
We're all living in uncertainty. Even for a crew as familiar with it as this one. The stress is taking its toll. But we are not in this alone. None of us are.
5 light years across. That's the size of the gravitational anomaly.
Where's it headed next?
It could go anywhere. And we may not have any kind of warning at all.
Federation, non-Federation. This anomaly threatens us equally.
Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together.
Indeed, we are more than allies.
Captain Burnham, make no mistake. You are in charge.
She has faith in me.
We are facing something we don't understand. Something that could tear us all apart. But there's only one way to confront the unknown. Together.
Now, of course, well and truly established in the future, so no continuity problems with fitting in with what goes on later on. And I think the most obvious thing to talk about first is uniforms.
Man in a uniform, tonight that's what I want you to be. She said, third time this week, worn that old suit, but I don't give a damn, you see, because man in a uniform.
Yes, they have taken the grey uniforms they received at the end of Season 3 and inverted them, effectively.
Yes. Made them rather more colourful as a result.
Yes.
In original series, colourful, basically.
Well, certainly in the same way that we saw with Pike and the Enterprise uniforms back in Season 2 of Discovery, and we will presumably be seeing in Strange New Worlds. They've taken the uniforms with the exact same cut, so these are the long kind of double-breasted ones, still with the gorget, with the ranks on it, and the shoulder ranks.
Yeah, the collar stuff is really interesting, isn't it? It's quite distinctive. I quite like that.
I quite like that. I'm not sure about the cut of the uniforms still.
Not very flattering, are they?
Well, they're not very flattering. Also, traditionally, Star Trek uniforms have always had very short tops, with the exception of the Monster Maroon. All of the other ones are quite short for the jackets or their jumpsuits. So these seem a lot more formal, and in the same way that the Monster Maroon is a much more formal type of uniform. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. I feel this should perhaps be more of a dress uniform with a shorter cut for everyday use. But, we'll see how we go. But it is nice that now you can... The grey while it was quite smart, was very
dull. Yes.
And at least you can instantly see, who's in what division. What's very confusing, though, obviously, is they're now using the next generation where Command is in red. Yeah. Whereas previously, they'd been using the original series where Command was in gold.
Yeah.
So you have Detmer and Okoye in yellow at Con and Ops, and Captain Burnham, because she's the captain now, in red.
Which makes sense chronologically speaking.
It makes sense chronologically speaking. But
if you're just taking Discovery as a whole, yes, it does switch it around, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
And they stuck with medical in white, I note, as well, which obviously wasn't a thing in sort of most Trek series. But that is quite striking. I quite like it.
Yeah, although I have to question why wearing white for the medical staff. They're going to get blood on them. They should be wearing the red ones.
Yes, it's true. It's slightly impractical, but it's very smart. So
yes. We've got to look at the first uniforms. Also, I'm seeing a picture of the bridge here, and I'm seeing a certain someone standing at the console towards the back.
Oh yes,
well, it's our favourite Kelpian, isn't it?
Yes, he does seem to be returning in two different outfits. Yeah, because again, we're all about the uniforms. So a new Trek uniform, but with a sort of insignia thing on, but also some sort of presumably Kelpian outfit. I don't know, but it's So whether he's going to be in all the episodes or just some, I don't know. But it's interesting that he's obviously being sort of set apart from the rest of the crew.
I suspect part of the season 4 will be them having to collect Saru or get him back.
Possibly, yeah.
I wonder how much time will have taken place between season 3 and 4, though, because I'm guessing there's going to be a bit of time to warrant the uniform change.
Yeah, possibly. Also, there's obviously some sort of disaster happening in the little bit that they've shown us.
There's always a disaster happening. It's what Discovery does.
Yes, but they really do make a mess of the bridge, don't they? Let's face it. So, yes, it'd be interesting to see if we maybe end up with a Discovery B partway through the season.
Look, you can't see me doing the eye thing, but I'm doing the eye thing, okay?
Yep. Here's hoping they crash on a planet and then they roll cookie cutter style, making a great big groove. With they have actually released a Discovery pizza cutter, which I knew was only a matter of time. Because that design was calling out for it.
It really was, yeah. Of course, every time you go to slice a pizza, though, you have to say activate the spore drive to.
Yes, I've got spore on my pizza. Yeah. I'm pleased to say that the cat makes an appearance.
Grudge, yes.
Yes, Grudge is still a thing, and as is Grudge's owner as well, which is so they're continuing with his presence, and they also have some sort of glowy. I don't know if they're EVA suits or away outfits of some sort, but yeah, there's some very glow-in-the-dark stuff going on here as well.
Yeah, but a couple of returning species, which I'm quite excited about.
Mm-hmm.
We have... Sorry?
Beyond the Kelpians, yeah.
Beyond the Kelpians, we have what appears to be a Cardassian, who... There is some suggestion might be the president of the Federation.
Or possibly a half Cardassian, half human? Yes. There's lots of questions about them. Somebody jokingly suggested that he was the love child of Garrick and Bashir.
Well, why not?
Well, it's the future, so damn it,
Yes.
So that would be fun. There's also a Lurian as well. We did see them in season 3 very briefly, but it'd be nice to have a Lurian crew member. That would be fantastic. Who obviously never speaks because can't have them speaking.
No, that'd be out of question. Adira and Gray are back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, continuing that story, which is good news.
And I know Adira joined the crew at the end of season 3, didn't they? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. And Nivar, it looks like we're going to go and visit Vulcan.
Yes, we got at the end of season 3, there was some involvement with the Nilvar, with the Federation again. So presumably that's moving that forward, which is good news.
Yeah, getting the band back together, you see.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Beyond that, Detmer's eye thing has changed slightly. no longer covers her eyebrow, interestingly. So presumably that's advances in technology. I mean, it's not really. It sort of appeared after what happened in the battle that she was involved with.
The Binary Star?
And the Binary Star. So presumably it's some sort of repair of an injury that she suffered. But yes, it's been scaled down a lot more. It's a lot more sort of subtle and smaller. And who's the other Doctor?
I know who you mean. I can see her, but I don't know her name. It's not on me. It's because they hardly ever say her name in the show. Exactly,
yes. But good news is that she's featuring as well, so they haven't forgotten her. But yeah, that cut of that uniform is so strange. The way it's not even along the bottom. Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to. I can't help feeling, but I'm sure we will. And it is definitely better than the grey. That's just very strange.
I wonder if this will be a case of the Federation have decided to adopt these uniforms to harken back to that more hopeful time because of Discovery. You know, if they're kind of leaning on Discovery being this echo of when the Federation was at its best in their mind, so they've kind of embraced that look.
That would make logical sense. I mean, it's interesting that the Federation seems to take an approach to uniforms based on their mood at the time. Oh, yeah. So you've got, like, you know, post Wolf 359, all is depressing and dark. Let's go for the grey. And then, things cheer up a bit later on, so we return to the old colours. Then by the time the far future, it's, again, you know, the Federation's all fallen apart, so we're in grey.
Yeah.
Who knew that uniforms would be mood-based? But apparently they are.
Yeah.
But, you know, it keeps those of us who are interested in uniforms happy. So
Uniform Watch, it's a key part of a broadcast, obviously.
Indeed it is.
Tilly, we don't really get a sense of where Tilly fits in this world. She's there, but obviously Saru's there as well. So is Tilly still the XO under Captain Burnham, or is Saru the XO? Or it's going to be interesting to see where they take Tilly in this series, because
she's definitely got a promotion.
Yeah,
she's now Lieutenant Junior grade, so that's slightly more likely that she could be a first officer. But you know, anyway, let's not go back on that one.
Yeah, let's not dig that one up. No, I heard that argument all the way from the hologram buffer, so we'll avoid that discussion. But as you say, I mean, just looking at the trailer, there's apparently something wrong with gravity in space, and the bridge is badly damaged. It looks like the rest of Discovery. Well, obviously, if the bridge is damaged, the rest is probably going to be damaged as well. And she seems to be coordinating repairs or something.
Yes, I think we see the docking bay, don't we? Yeah,
the hangar bay. Yeah,
with people on the ceiling. Yes.
Yeah.
So who knows? Perhaps it crashed upside down. That would be new. We seen one crash on its belly. We see one crash sideways. So they're going for the whole new crash upside down.
They only just finished cleaning it up after Book crashed his ship into it. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At least they managed to get the doors fixed on the shuttle bay anyway. But anyway, again, previous arguments.
I did want to ask you, just in terms of season 4 of Discovery. What do you want to see from it? I mean, what did you think? Overall, season 3, I think we both left it with a sense of it was okay, but I think there was a number of issues we felt throughout it, but we were like, okay, we'll give them a bit of leeway because we've effectively gone back and reset the clock. So what do you want to see in season 4?
I want to see some more development of the characters that we've still yet not seen a great deal of. Ola Shekan, for instance, I want to see more of her, and some of the newer characters they introduced in the last season. Grey, I'm fascinated to see more about them. Yeah, so more investigation of character in terms of the whole setup. Obviously, it doesn't need to be as grim and dark as the beginning of season 3 was. But yeah, I don't know really. I mean, reconstruction of the Federation seems to be an obvious way to go, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. I hope we have Admiral Vance returning, and
yes, he's not
David Cronenberg.
I don't think so, but hopefully yes. David Cronenberg. That was a weird thing. That was so random. Yeah, I think apparently. Yeah, I think last I heard he was up for it if they were willing to. So, yeah. But yes, that's not a deal breaker.
No.
I think one of the good things about Discovery has been the fact that the better stories have have seen more involvement from the rest of the crew, and it hasn't always been the Burnham show. So as long as they continue heading in that direction, I shall be quite happy. And as long as Burnham doesn't save the day again.
Oh, she will. She will.
Anyway, shall we move on to Picard Season 2?
Yes.
The true final frontier is time. Time can turn even our most impulsive, our most ill-considered actions into history. What we do in a crisis often weighs upon us less heavily than what we wish we had done. What could have been. Time offers so many opportunities, but never second chances.
The trial never ends.
The teaser is fascinating.
It really is.
I mean, obviously, in some ways, spoilers ahoy, but there are so many little Easter eggs revealed in what apparently is supposed to be his library. So, which presumably it's the holographic reproduction of it rather than him going back to Earth.
Well, who knows? He might well be back on Earth. There's some videos out there where people are pointing out things, but I mean, the big ones that I took away initially were obviously we have the painting of the Enterprise D over the mantle.
Which is sweet, yeah.
It is sweet. It's a different painting.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be the same one, but it is a different painting. We have the model of the Stargazer on the desk.
Very prominent.
Yes. We have the books that were in the Ready Room, his big Shakespeare books. They are in the background. His chair from his Ready Room on the Enterprise E.
Yes, including the sort of beady tapestry thing.
Yes. There's the little, the Russian doll thing with all the little people inside.
Oh, yes. Now, what was that called? Which we saw survive the crash of the D.
Yeah, and then he threw away because it's like, oh, this is really valuable. Yoink.
Yeah. But it was literally like the last bit of a civilization that had been preserved. And yes, generations treats it like a bit of tat.
So you have all these wonderful little Easter. Clearly they've spent a lot of time. I mean, in fact, above the clock on the mantelpiece is a statue of a horse and a man kind of driving it forward while it's ploughing a field, which was last seen in Brothers when Picard went to the house and it was over the mantle there.
Blimey.
So they've really gone to a lot of details. But we're burying the lead because there is a particular artefact which I think is very interesting in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Pride of place. We have the stone tablet.
Yeah.
Seen not in The Next Generation, but seen in Deep Space Nine. It was this tablet that Sisko broke to release the Par-Wraith in the episode The Reckoning.
And obviously Picard has previous in terms of involvement with Bajor, but yes, that is a very Sisko item, so it's very curious that that's appearing there.
Well, what's interesting is I don't think it is that one because Sisko broke that one to release the Par-Wraith.
But it is broken in the
yeah, it is. It's not broken in the same way, but it might be the same one. I don't know. But I was watching another video and people were talking about this and why does Picard have that? Well, what's Picard's great passion other than being a space explorer?
Archaeology.
Archaeology, yeah. So maybe Picard has been looking into these artifacts from Bajor, which would be very interesting. And we see all these elements. We see a clock and we see sand moving through an
hourglass.
An hourglass, echoing Soren, and time is a fire in which we burn.
Burn, yes.
Burn. Yes. A little bit of a callback then, but then at the very end, we see a card.
It's very cleverly done, isn't it? Yeah. So obviously Q has some sort of involvement in season 2, which is, I think, a very logical move to make. But it'd be interesting to see how they realize. I mean, obviously John Delancey looks a wee bit older than he did back in the day, and yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Well, I presume they're going to... If he appears as he appears now, it'll be because he's mocking Picard's aging. I don't know. But this is something I didn't realise at the time. I don't think any of us realised. Think back to the first shot from season 1 of Picard. That beautiful shot of the Enterprise D passing the nebula, and the camera pans into 10 forward, and Picard is playing Data at cards.
Yeah.
When Data lays his hand down, they're all queens. He has 5 queens. All Qs. So I mean, I'm not for a minute believing they had this plan from the beginning, because I do not give the writers of this show that much credit. But it's an interesting callback to that. And we know that Guinan will be appearing in season 2.
Yep. And obviously Guinan has history with Q, so that could
Definitely
be interesting if they're in the same one.
Yeah, and Patrick Stewart has said time travel will feature in this.
Yeah,
it's about
the
time.
final frontier, yes.
So
it's lots of juicy danglers. It's
so many.
The risk of disappearing up its own butt, I suppose, is the downside.
Well, there's definitely that.
Also, the risk of completely losing new viewers. I'm sort of thinking of the Martin Thompsons of this world, but haven't necessarily sort of absorbed all of Star Trek up and to the point of Picard being broadcast. But if they lean too heavily on past continuity, it is going to lose newcomers.
I would hope, though, and no disrespect to new viewers and listeners, but I think there's enough other Star Trek content out there for new viewers, and I think Picard was at its strongest when it was leaning on... It doesn't have to go too deep, but I think the best episodes of season 1 of Picard were when he was interacting with Riker, when he was revisiting those relationships which have been set up. Because we have, 7 years of the Next Generation plus 4 films. There's a lot of history there. And that's when I think the show was at its strongest, when it was leaning on that. And it was at its weakest when it was effectively ignoring that, pretending that hadn't happened, or going out of its way. So I think if they took that feedback, I think they'll probably lean a bit more, especially if they do the Deep Space Nine thing, because I can't see them taking an entire episode to explain the Reckoning and the Par Race and the Prophets and everything.
Yeah, that would be a hell of a info dump in order to get people up to speed on that. That's why that's such a weird and interesting inclusion.
Q on his own and the trial never ends. I mean, that is... You have to be familiar with the Next Generation to kind of get that.
I don't know, because I mean, I think there are people who have never watched Star Trek, in which case, yes, that's never going to connect with. Then there are the people who've seen some Star Trek or aware of some of the themes and Q is a big part of the Next Generation.
Yeah.
So if you know nothing else about the Next Generation, you'll know probably about Q, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fairly safe bet. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that one. But yeah, they very carefully put that together, haven't they, just to make us drool, basically.
Well, I've got to be honest. After a bit of reflection, I'm very cool on season 1 of Picard. It didn't really work for me, but I'd go as far as to say I didn't enjoy season 1 of Picard. But this really excited me, and I was very much like, I want to see more of this, please. This really got me enticed. And if we think back to season 1, there was a lot of Voyager callbacks with 7 of 9 and Icheb. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense that with season 2 they might look towards Deep Space Nine. So the prospects of maybe visiting, if not Deep Space Nine, maybe some Cardassians, some plain, simple tailors perhaps might feature somehow. I'd be very excited for that.
That would be wonderful. Again, I think it's unlikely, but it
Yeah.
would be wonderful. And in the same way as, they've got a copy of Paradise Lost on his desk, which, of course, immediately starts making us think of Star Trek V. But again, I'm not sure they're going to be mining that particular well.
Look, at this point, I'm prepared to join you with the Justice for Cybok movement because, God damn it, he's been done a dirty as old Cybok. If they're doing time travel, though, if perhaps Q is behind this, though, do you think we're going to see Picard revisiting his time on the Stargates? Are we going to see monster maroon uniforms and a movie era set, perhaps?
I suppose it's possible. They've got the budget for it, let's face it.
I would be all in at that point. It's like, yeah, do it.
But they've got to go with the non, the without the collars that are.
It was not with the turtleneck collar.
The roll,
it's,
exactly.
It's the crew neck. Yeah,
exactly. Yes, like a t-shirt they're wearing underneath, because otherwise I shall get annoyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's those little things.
Well, then. So once again, uniform choices aside, what would you like to see from Picard season 2?
You know what? I know what you're saying in terms of some of the things that work best were the look backs and the drawing from the Next Generation continuity. And certainly my favourite episode was the one that had Riker and Troy in it. But having said that, I want to know a bit more. And it was a shame that we never saw more of them. That his housekeepers that we saw at the beginning, we were lovely, really interesting characters.
The Irish Romulan.
The Irish Romulan, yeah, who just got completely forgotten and left behind. And I'd really like them to have a place in season 2, I must admit, and maybe see a bit more about what that was all about, because that was like sort of part of the initial setup. Then they kind of moved on from and forgot, sadly.
I believe the first use of the word fecker in all of Star Trek.
Exactly, yes. Brilliant stuff. So, yeah, I'd like to see some more of that. Mm-hmm. I'm obviously, really excited about the idea of Q coming back and how that will factor in. Personally, it's like Q and Picard have that sort of amazing relationship that I always felt like that whenever they tried Q in another series, it never quite worked out.
No.
And I almost felt like Lower Decks were taking the piss by saying, it basically appears to every crew. Because, to be honest, it's Q and Picard. That's what it's all about. So I am really looking forward to that, seeing how they deal with that. Yeah. So we go from there, basically. And hopefully the rest of the crew haven't been forgotten as well. We kind of, because they all got like one episode, didn't they, where we explored a bit about them, and then that was it. So there's plenty of potential there. How about you? What are you hoping for from?
What am I hoping for? I'm hoping for better writing, frankly.
I think more consistent tone would be good. I mean, that was the thing. It was a bit, all over the place, wasn't it, in season 1?
I would like them to have, because there were moments of brilliance in Picard. I loved the Romulan housekeepers, which were great. The bit with Picard and the press interview, and because it wasn't Starfleet, damn it. I love that. I love those moments. But then you had the Lannister Romulans, which was stupid. And then you had Picard being put into a robot body, stupid. Commodore O, stupid. Picard with his outrageous French accent.
Oh, I loved that. That was that was fun.
No, it was fun.
Fun episode.
No, it was silly and it was fun, but it was completely at odds at the tone of the rest of the series.
It was, yes. It's like, let's try a comedy episode. It's like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
That's a change of gear.
in of itself, it was fine, but within the context of the rest of it, I didn't like. I thought the best bits of Picard were episodes like, is it Nepenthe? Was that it? With Riker. I loved the bringing 7 of 9 in and having that connection. And there was a huge amount of potential with Picard, which I don't think it quite achieved. And I think that was because they didn't really know what the show was. And I hope they have a bit more of a sense of it now. So I'm interested to see where they go with Q and with Guinan and with Picard. I'd like them to revisit, if they're going to do some time travel-y stuff and connect it back to stuff in the past. If they do that well, I'd be very excited because I think that'd be really, really cool. But yeah, overall, just a bit more consistent writing, and maybe we see LaForge pop in. Maybe see.
I was going to say yes, maybe Worf to find out where he's got to now. And,
Crusher, damn it! Because what's going on there? Because they were married at one point, weren't they? So, that'd be interesting.
Yes.
But yes, I want more Irish Romulans as well. So I think Laris was her name.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. More of them, please.
Cool. Okay. Then there's this whole new series, which is set up. I think the idea is that it's more sort of a kiddie animated show.
Is this Prodigy?
Prodigy, yeah, which we'd previously seen a picture from of the main characters, and everybody sort of looked and went, "What?" Because they didn't. It didn't really say Star Trek. Basically, it seemed very odd. It's set in the Delta Quadrant though, so it's allowed to be different. Something that Voyager never quite picked up on. And it does also feature one certain Captain Janeway in animated form.
Yes, voiced by Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah, but beyond that, we don't know a great deal. There's no trailer, so we haven't got as far as that. So it's all a bit of a mystery, really. So, yeah, quite what to expect from this series, we don't know. This is definitely one where we'll be very cautiously covering the pilot and seeing what the tone is, basically, before deciding whether we'll be covering it or not. Because, well, there's something wrong with making a Star Trek series that's literally set up for kids. It may or may not work for adults. Plenty of things that have been set up for kids that work perfectly well for adults. Having had 2 kids myself and watched some of the stuff they were watching, some of it was quite palatable at times. Some of it really wasn't. So, things like SpongeBob SquarePants, for instance, I think it doesn't matter about what age you are. You can get into that. But yeah, even Rugrats. But yeah, this is such a mystery. Don't quite know what to expect from it, really.
It's curious. It's probably the best way to put it. There are no human characters within this, because even Janeway is a hologram.
Hologram, yeah.
As I understand. We don't even know when this is set. For all we know, this could be set in the 32nd century, and they just stumbled across an old ship in the same way you had with the Doctor in that episode of Voyager, where he was woken up centuries in the future. So we don't have any sense of when this is set. As you say, it's going to be very hard to predict because we haven't seen anything from it. We don't really know what they're going for. It's a kids show as well, so it can only be judged as a kids show. But that does mean it doesn't allow them to talk down to people. You can't. Being a kids show is not an excuse for bad writing or inconsistent writing, because that's a lazy excuse. Some of the best shows for kids, like SpongeBob SquarePants, are very intelligently written. They're accessible to children, but you can't treat children as idiots, and I hope they won't do that with this show. It's not even my concern. My observation is, with no human characters in there, sort of thing. Star Trek's always kind of been about showing humanity being better.
Yeah, the human condition.
The human condition, but it's also showing that humanity will achieve greatness when it comes to accept differences and to work better with others and to connect with people. It's supposed to show humanity being a better version than it actually is. But there are no humans in this series. So I'm wondering if it might lose something that is kind of at the core of what is Star Trek. That ideal that, we can be better, and this is an example of us being better. I wonder if we might lose a bit of that connection, something of that essence of... A lot of times people will point to things like Discovery and say, oh, that's not Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry's rolling in his grave, which they've been saying ever since The Next Generation, frankly.
Yeah.
But I wonder with this show, because you don't have that human connection, and for all we know, there might be a human character, they just haven't revealed it yet. But with them all being aliens, I'm wondering, are we going to lose that?
Yeah, some of the aliens that we've met along the way have been more humans than, more humanity. So,
yes.
That's necessarily... Yes. It's not necessarily a barrier, but it's certainly a curious approach. It's not just aliens, but very alien aliens, isn't it? So one of them is literally like a blob of blue.
Yes.
So yeah, very hard to say on that one. But we'll give it a try.
One of them's apparently a Talaxian, but it's stylized animation. So for all we know, some of these species might be things we've already encountered in the past, but we just don't recognise them. So we'll have to see. Mostly, I want to see what the spaceship looks like. So
Yeah, there is that. Yes, there's no sign of that. But yeah. So the Talaxian is presumably the short round.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
The one with the toolkit, tool belt.
Yeah, although he's got very weird teeth compared to Talaxians we've met before. Interesting. Yeah, and then there's this big lump of rock dude, blue slush puppy dude, purple with green hair person.
Oh, I'm looking on the Memory Alpha page at the cast, because only 2 people have been announced, and one is Kate Mulgrew as Captain Janeway.
Yeah.
But the other announced person in this is William O'Campbell, who is playing Thadium Okono from the Outrageous Okono, the Next Generation episode.
That would be weird, because that was the Rocketeer guy, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's apparently in this series.
Right. Yeah, this is a big mystery, isn't it?
Yes.
Wrapped in an enigma. But, yeah. Okay, well, we'll find out what it is when it arrives here.
No words yet on release date or anything. It will air later than 2021, so probably next year, I guess.
We shall wait and see.
I won't ask you what you're expecting from this, because who knows? And it's a kid show.
Absolutely no idea is the answer to that one.
Yes.
It's just like, just the image they released is baffling. Then they released an image that had Janeway in it, which is slightly less baffling, but still pretty damn baffling. So, yeah.
I mean, maybe in my mind this is an intrepid band of people from the Delta Quadrant who are hunting down Janeway to arrest her for crimes against sentient species.
I don't think so. I mean, it's interesting that there are quite a hardcore of people out there who are real Janeway fans.
Oh, I know, yeah. It's why I'm saying it on your podcast, not on my podcast.
And this is really wonderful news to them. So, yeah, we shall see.
Yes.
But I think we've saved the best till last, personally.
Well, the best trailer we had, there's a couple more shows to speak about, but yes, we have the best trailer we saw till last.
Which is The Wonder of Lower Decks Season 2.
What up? We doing sci-fi stuff today?
Only thing missing is Boimler. He's got to be having the time of his life.
Red alert! I'm starting to think this jam session's got too many licks and not enough comp.
What does that even mean?
Which has got some real delights to be seen. Ambo Jitsu. We have, what's the Reliant class?
Miranda class.
Miranda class, yeah.
Called the USS Macduff, which might be a reference to that fake first officer from the episode...
Oh, yeah.
Contagion, was it? No, not Contagion.
Conundrum?
Conundrum, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. The really cool thing is that we've got Boimler is still on the Titan, is it? Riker's ship?
He's still on the Titan with
so
and Riker is still being a terrible captain.
Wonderfully terrible. It's great. Yes. There's no China Troy, though. It's slightly worrying. So hopefully they've got her involved as well.
Unfortunately, I don't think... Oh, wait, no, she... I don't know. I heard she isn't in season 2 because she's just moved back to the UK, has Marina Sirtis.
Doesn't stop you doing voiceover, surely. But anyway,
no,
that'd be disappointing.
Yes, but if she was moving while they were producing... I don't know, but...
Oh, right. Oh, that's a shame. But yeah, there's just a very short trailer, but there's so much wonder packed into it. And particularly with the way that season 1 finished on a high note. I'm very much looking forward to season 2 of Lower Decks.
Yes, the Cerritos still doesn't look sovereign-y, so that's good.
Yes. Nor have they gone for an A on it either, so, you're right there.
Thank fuck for that. Yeah.
We've also got that, I don't know what the what Mugatu, is it? The creature from the original series with the horn on its head.
Oh,
the white
yeah.
gorilla thing. Yeah. So, yeah, yes, again, they're layering in the references thick and fast. But yes.
But they had us when they had the Ambu Jitsu.
That is definitely the highlight. It's like, yes. If you want a lampoon Trek, there's a good place to go to.
Yeah. Lower Decks for me was a delight. It's been the most entertaining, for lack of a better term, new Trek that they did. And it's a surprise because I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I did.
It was definitely a slow burn for me. It took a long while for me to get into it. But yes, by the end, that last episode was just so fantastic that it's really fired me up and made me look forward to where they'll go with season 2. I don't know if season 2 is going to be any longer because obviously season 1 was quite short, really. But then again, animations obviously takes a lot longer to put together. So I suppose that might be the reason for that.
Yeah. I think there's the same number of episodes, so 11 episodes. Sorry, 12 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And they've also got a season 3 coming too. So
yes, that's been announced and confirmed. So that's good news.
And I'm just reading off of the Memory Alpha. Jonathan Frakes confirmed he will reprise his role as William T. Riker, which we've seen. And McManus commented that other series like Deep Space Nine would be brought into the show. So,
yay! Well, they already did.
Well, they did, yeah. we saw Deep Space Nine, didn't we? Yeah. And an Olympic class ship.
Yeah. Well, let's not dwell on that. But yeah, but yes, it would be nice to see some cast members from Deep Space Nine maybe involved. That would be good news. Yeah, so that I think definitely for Lower Decks, what I'd like to see from season 2 is some Deep Space Nine references because they did their Voyager ones, obviously plenty of Next Generation ones, but literally they showed the station and that was it. Well, that's true. Of course, Shax was a Bajor.
Well, you got Shax always going on about the profits.
Yeah. But yeah, some more Deep Space Nine references would be lovely. Yeah.
I wonder who's going to replace him as the head of security.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Well, I'm also wondering, will it be someone we know?
I wouldn't have thought so, but we shall see. Because obviously, most of the people we know are very, very junior officers. So.
No, I mean from another series.
Oh, I see.
Are we going to bring in a Worf or something, or
bring in
a mirror universe Tasha Yar?
Crud. I presume it's only a matter of time, but yeah.
Bring a Sealer episode would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would certainly be interesting.
Oh, come on, mate. It's a staple of the Next Generation with a Sealer episode. She is the most incompetent Rollian. She's always scheming and they're always terrible. Tell me you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go, Lower Decks. I mean, once again, I'm not really going to ask you what you want to see from it because it's a Ron Steele show. It does exactly what he says on the tin.
Yeah. So, yes, you mentioned other news.
Well, not so much other news, but just other shows that we know are coming. And while there were no trailers, we know Strange New Worlds is well underway. Because we've had a hint. We saw Pike and Spock in that CBS Super Bowl commercial for the Paramount Plus.
That was bloody weird, wasn't it? Yes.
Spock grooving out to some music to reach Stephen Colbert and Patrick Stewart at the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
You're right. They missed an opportunity there to say why were they climbing a mountain.
A mountain, exactly.
Never mind.
Baffling.
Do we know when that's due to land?
I don't know, but it was interesting that we didn't get any trailer from that, wasn't it? So presumably that's later still, because Discovery Season 4, I think they were saying later this year, and there's Picard is next year, isn't it?
Picard is next year. According to Memory Alpha, it's Strange New Worlds is currently listed for December 31st this year.
Okay. Well, that may as well be next year, but yeah.
May as well be next year, yeah. I don't think that's official, though. I think that's just a date they put in there. But yeah, it's down for 10 episodes initially.
Right.
And going for a more episodic vibe.
Well, I think that's very sensible.
Yeah.
To be honest, ARC series to a penny, you stand out far more if you did something episodic in this day and age. So I'm very up for that.
I think Lower Decks kind of got the balance pretty much spot on, didn't it?
Yes, there was really only the last 2 episodes that flowed into each other, wasn't there? So,
yeah.
I mean, there was still a series arc, of course, which is the whole, Mariner and her mum thing. But, yeah, the actual sort of thread of the episode, it wasn't in the same way as Picard was, and Discovery usually is, sort of one episode flows straight into the next one. It was a bit more, episodic than that. So, it'd be interesting to see.
Yes. And the last bit of, once again, not so much news, but just random speculation, was 2 bits, really. Section 31, I don't know what's happening with that, and I don't think anyone knows what happens with that, so we'll just put a pin in there. But will we get another film?
Will we care? Is the answer to that one.
You liked Beyond. You went to a cinema and you liked it.
Beyond was all right.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Beyond and go, oh yeah, I want to see another one of those. It was like, well, that's a relief. It's not as bad as the first one anyway.
If you think the first one's bad, just thank God you never watched Into Darkness.
Not touching Into Darkness. I don't need to see that. My life is complete without.
You may not like it, but many people did like it, and we've had talk of the Tarantino Trek, and
I think that's dead, isn't it? By the sounds of it.
One can only hope.
Quite.
There's the one with Chris Hemsworth, who was supposed to be in it at some point, and all that. But even aside from that, though, Star Trek has, for the most of its life, existed as both a film series and a TV series. Do you want to see a theatrical? It doesn't have to be a continuation of the Kelvin films, but would you like to see another Star Trek film? And if so, what would you like it to be?
The honest answer to that is I'm really not bothered. I mean, there are some great Star Trek movies. 2, 5, and 6, obviously, spring to mind.
You realise it's statements like that, which is why you're not credible as a witness in court.
But I mean, part of the reason was, even 5 for me sort of stands out. It's just simply because it seemed far more exciting and thrilling than the Trek we were getting at the time.
Yes, budgets were bigger.
Pre-Next Generation. So, the effects in the original series, let's face it, are not brilliant. Hence, they redid them. So, that was the thing about movies, was like, you could get like Star Wars effects, but Star Trek. But we don't need that now because we can do it in TV. So, in a way, I kind of feel like movies and Trek are kind of defunct because you can do movie standard effects in a TV series. So, why do you need the movies?
I think there's something to be said about seeing it on a big screen. I'm a big lover of the cinematic experience and seeing a show on a big screen, especially if it's well done. And also, I think you can tell different types of stories on the big screen. I think there are certain stories which work better in a theatrical kind of like 2-hour kind of block, whereas I think there are types of shows which work better, as TV, spread out over a season or in a 45-minute segment. So I think there is a place for the films, and I'd like to see 2 things. I'd like to see the Next Generation get a decent end, but it's not going to happen now because they're all too old and, they didn't have cars. But I'd like to see the Kelvin films get a decent ending. I mean, Beyond was okay, but I would like a nice resolution to it. But, I don't think they're going to do Discovery films. I don't think they'll do that. They're not going to do a Deep Space Nine or a Voyager film.
Or a Picard film, for that matter, I don't think.
A Picard film, so...
Your Lower Decks film is just waiting to happen then.
Well, we've already had it. It was the Rise of Vindicta, wasn't it?
It was, yes. Which, worked as a gag for 20 minutes, but yeah.
It does raise the question, though, were all the Star Trek films actually just holodeck experiences?
Yeah, certainly the Kelvinverse ones, that would make a lot of sense of those. This film has been badly programmed.
It's another Barclay hologram, basically.
Yeah.
Do you think Barclay's going to show up in Lower Decks at some point?
Oh, that would be brilliant. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe he's on a table. Is he doing a lot these days?
I have no idea.
I can't remember the last time I saw him in anything. In fact, I think the last time I saw him in anything was the A-Team movie where he appeared in the end credits.
Oh, the one with Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. So hang on, IMDb. What is Dwight Schultz up to these days? Oh, he's still working. He's done voice work recently.
Hmm. So Lower Decks is a possibility.
So Lower Decks is definitely. as late as 2021, he was doing voice work. I'm trying to find out what was the last time he was actually in something.
Bear in mind that 2020 doesn't count for movies because,
he's pretty much been exclusively voice stuff of about the last decade.
Mm.
So there you go. Voiceover is in Lower Decks is a definite possibility.
But that's probably the most you can hope for.
Yeah. I did see an interview with Cole Meany, and they pointed out that he was recognised as the most important person in all history.
Yes.
And he goes, well, it's about bloody time.
Bless him.
I wonder if we're ever going to see Avery Brooks back in something.
Well, nothing Trek, I don't think. I think he's kind of done with Trek, sadly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the last thing he actually did was it was a voice for Cisco, and that was 2006. But he's not done anything since then. And I'm wondering.
I think he publicly said he was done with Trek. Unfortunately.
Well, many people have said they're publicly done with Trek, but they always say, "But if the right role was to come along, if there was something interesting," because I'm pretty sure Patrick Stewart was quite definitively done with Trek. Still, I don't think we want to see Benjamin Sisko exiting the wormhole and having aged 30-odd years.
No. I mean, I think in some ways you're more likely to get Bashir in something. That would be rather good.
Yeah. Well, I know he was in, what was it called? Game of Thrones, wasn't he?
He was, yes. And during the lockdown, he and
Andrew Robinson.
Yeah, we're doing that podcast thing, weren't they?
Yeah.
So...
Well, Andrew Robinson as well. He's still working. In fact, Alone Together, that was the thing he did, and I'm just desperate for more Garrick. Basically,
yeah.
I need more Garrick. I need more Garrick in my life.
If we can get Garrick and Bashir back together in a Trek series, I guarantee that Tumblr will explode. We can but hope.
Yes, we can. Something else coming out, and I suspect you won't be backing this one in the same way you did with the What We Leave Behind was the Voyager documentary, which just became the most backed project in Indiegogo history.
Indeed, yes. People are out there screaming for it, and yes, fine, if that's what you want. Interesting. They've been sending me emails, but yeah, I can't say that I am as passionate about that as I am about the Deep Space Nine one.
Mm. I mean, when it comes out, will you watch it and review it, or
if it ends on free to stream, I'll probably watch it then, out of mild curiosity. But I certainly won't be going out of my way to watch it. No, in the same way as I attempted to rewatch Voyager a few years back and stalled. So yeah.
I'm genuinely curious. I'm just because Voyager's always been a show I've had trouble with as well. But I am wondering, because I haven't revisited it since we started getting new Trek, things like Discovery and Picard and everything like that. How far in did you get before you went, I'm done? I
don't think I made it to the second series. What I did is I started, a determined rewatch of the first season.
Uh-huh.
And I think I may have got as far as 2/3 of the way through, and then just like, I'm done with these reheated Next Generation plots.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I remember there being some really good episodes later on, so let me watch those, like the one with the Romulans in it, and the one with the ship that divides into 3 bits, and
the Prometheus
all the
the
Barclay ones. I remember those being good, and they really weren't. I was like, okay, so those are my fond memories of the series. Probably time to walk away, I think.
I'm very curious what, perhaps more so Anne-Marie than you are, going to make of some of the original series stuff, because there's a lot of reheated original series in Next Generation.
A little bit. Yes, done very differently. I mean, that's the thing. We did do a rewatch original series some years back, maybe it's 8 years back, something like that. And that was just about enough to push Anne-Marie into thinking that we would be able to eventually do a podcast on it. So, yeah.
So you won her over that way, little by little.
Basically, yes, over time. Yeah. I mean, her explanation is that basically she was looking at it through modern eyes, and yeah, it doesn't stand up through modern eyes. But just as, science fiction for its time, it's got some wonderful ideas, and there is, as Anne-Marie says, there was a lot of warmth in the cast. Ironic when you find out how much some of them hated each other.
Yes. The amount of cheese you're going to be taking in between Buck Rogers and that is...
Well, particularly once we hit the third season of original series, that's going to be like the worst moment, isn't it? Because, Spock's brain and Buck Rogers is... that's like the cheeseburger.
No, you'll have finished There's only 2 seasons of Buck Rogers, so you'll have finished it by then.
It depends if the seasons are longer or not, but yeah, you're right. We may have done.
You may have dodged that particular bullet.
Maybe. Yes. We need to find something like the opposite of cheese in order to help us cope with the third season.
Don't do The Expanse. I've done that.
No, Anne-Marie would be happy to do it, but yeah, not so much me.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all of the Trek news that was used. I mean, unless you want to get into why Picard's still responsible for everything post-Enterprise.
Yeah, let's not.
We've done it.
Yes. I think of all the stuff that's been announced, there's plenty to get excited about. I think we're nicely set up for the next, 2 years?
Oh, yeah, you're going to get to like season 20 of Borgcast, aren't you?
So very old, yes.
Oh, yes.
But anyway, next up we have the original series, so yeah.
Where it all began.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, Andy.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I'll be here in the hologram buffer until the next time you decide to reactivate me.
Yes, but it won't be Voyager, I promise.
Thank God. If you could just do me a favour and delete your holodeck history next time, it's horrifying, sir, horrifying. And you, a man of the cloth, I ask you.
Yeah, well, somebody else has to clean it up, so it's not my problem. Anyway,
that's what Mariner's there for, isn't it?
We'll catch you next time. Cheerio, bye.
Ta-ra.
The artwork for this podcast was created by Andy Poulastides.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. #Borgcast.
Shut it down!